You're not going to get better by hating yourself. And I want to add to that by saying you also don't need to hate yourself to want to improve. In fact, I think one of the only ways you're going to get there is by learning to accept yourself. And this is something I've had to learn a lot about, particularly actually when my husband and I got together. He knew one day he wanted to get married and have kids. And I actually have a genetic disorder. It's called Ehlers-Danlos. And at the time, I was still going through the depths of it. So I wasn't sure it would be smart for me to have kids and make them go through what I went through. I didn't know at the time that there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. I hadn't normalized yet, which happens when you get a couple years into your early 20s out of puberty. Things become so much more manageable, and day to day, it's not too big of an issue for me anymore. So once I got to that point, I needed to do some serious self-reckoning, and look into my past and how dark I had treated myself and the mindset that I had grown up with, which had manifested into several different forms of self-harm, whether it was eating disorders or physical self-harm. I had a lot of experience with that. And normally when I see people talk about this topic, they want to give this serious nature of it the gravity it deserves. So they dive into how dark it was, the details of what they were doing, the habits they had, the mindset. And I find that that can be really detrimental to someone looking for advice with a malleable mindset, and just easily impressed on. And it detracts from the point of the video, which is that we're trying to transition out of that behavior, right? So I want you to understand the gravity of the topic, and that I want to give it the respect that it's due without diving into the details that I think will detract from actually getting better, because you can't move forward by continuing to relive all of the bad parts of it and keep yourself bogged down, basically. So I really dove deep into this when I was getting into my early 20s. I grew up with a genetic disorder called Ehlers-Danlos, which had given me a lot of different like physical hardships. And it gets better once you get out of puberty. And once I started to normalize, I figured at some point in the unforeseeable future at that time, we're gonna start having kids. And I've got a lot of stuff I need to fix in my mind before we bring any little impressionable, lovable, malleable minds into this mix. And I worked at it really hard for like a year to 18 months before I started to normalize the year after that and just find a rhythm for myself, learn my own body's signals, and how to respect my wants and needs, which was something that I didn't do while I was growing up, with all of these disorders. I used pretty much everything as a form of self-punishment, and or a way to earn things that I was partially withholding from myself. So if any of that sounds like you, I want you to know that, well, one, you're not going to get better by watching videos of people talking about the nitty gritty of how horrible it was. But also that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because a lot of the influencers, eating disorder coaches, and experts I saw on social media all talked about how you're never going to be normal again, which never sat right with me. Because why would you exclude people who are trying to get better and demotivate them by telling them it's not possible for them to get where they've always wanted to be, which is feeling normal, feeling like a productive, well-adjusted member of society and adaptive human being. So I just want to be here to tell you that it's entirely possible. I live a very normal life day to day, whether it's because of my genetic disorder or because of my past eating disorders. I don't see numbers anymore. I know what to do for my body to help it heal when it's going through a hard time. I recognize my patterns, like for women's monthly cycles. You're going to have some more elasticity during the month, or you have some higher risks regarding things like pregnancy and postpartum, and just learning to respect yourself through this process, because you deserve that, and on some level you already know that, but that's not the hardship you're trying to get past. It's the mind connection of understanding how to shift your frame of mind into a motivated, more accepting frame of work, giving yourself some grace, because whether you're being too hard on yourself or you feel like you're not being hard enough in certain aspects of your life to progress yourself forward to the quality of life that you want to have, those are the parts I see talked about the least. And I just want you to know that you don't have to be excluded from that. um, like I said, I live a very normal life day to day. I don't put pressure on my eating habits, whether it's because I think I need to eat more or less. I have a very relaxed attitude toward these things now, which I think is the main thing that helped me get better. I'll do whatever my body tells me it needs, with the caveat that I always want to feel comfortable in my body, because you're never going to branch out into building confidence if you can't feel comfortable and supported in your own body. And that support starts with your mindset and how to shift yourself into being your own motivator rather than your own critic. So, if you're wondering about these squishmallows behind me at all, I can promise you I'm actually a quite stable person now. But like I said, I do have kids. So that was a huge motivating factor for me, because I went through my childhood with people who didn't know how to guide me in those ways, who hadn't done that self reflection and work to give their most like blind aspects of themselves to the next generation, basically. Um, and I've just seen so many experts in the field who have degrees who are trying to help people get better. And it was so demotivating to see the kind of messages that they were putting out on social media. I didn't know this level of normalcy and quality of life would ever be possible for me. So I'm here to tell you that if you're struggling with any of this, it's completely possible. And I think just seeing that might help you get motivated, at least to branch out into what that means for you, because it's all very personal, isn't it? Like, only you know what you want, only you know how you want to feel. And if you don't know those things yet, you don't have to have a concrete idea to be able to move forward. You can move forward with just a feeling, because that's how I started. If you want to read a bit more and dive into how I actually set myself on that path to just start moving forward in a better direction, I'm going to write a bit more on that side of the process on my Substack. I'm going to make that article free because I'm advertising it with this video and I want to help people. So, like, there are paid tiers. You can subscribe for free, and this article is going to be free. It's very short. I'm not going to life coach you guys with like journals and this tedious stuff that I think takes away from the main point, which is like what people try and use to upsell it, like, oh, you can buy my program and my daily guide. This aspect of it, I'm not trying to make money on. If I gained subscribers who want to see my message, like, that's already income. So I think that's enough like personal gain from just trying to spread a good message and a little hope and motivation for anybody who's not seeing that anywhere else, because that's how I was. And like I said, it's going to be a short article. I really like to get to the point. So no journals, no daily guides, no sit down and write things. Like, if anything, I would tell you to get yourself moving, because it helps your mind and your body, and you can work out through movement and physical activity and things that feel good without putting pressure on them, and just help your life move along, instead of just like sitting and ruminating, because that's kind of what you've already been doing probably, and it hasn't been feeling too good, I'd imagine, if you're anything like me. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to see more of this, I can do more. Maybe I'll make some more videos for future articles coming up. Can't promise they're all going to be free, but this one will be. And I think I'm going to try and link this video into the article too, so you can find them in the same place. I'll put stuff in the description. And this is a more serious note of the type of like content I typically do on social media. I just like to call myself a shit poster because it's fun. That's the type of content I like to do on a daily basis because I don't like to make life more serious than it already is. I think that's kind of how people get stuck, and it makes it not fun. And like Kate Moss said, like, why can't I just have fun all the time? So if that sounds like a goal for you, then maybe I would be a good follow. So thank you for your time.